It was just after midnight when the emergency dispatcher's phone rang. The room was quiet except for the steady hum of computers and the occasional rustle of papers. On the other end of the line came a trembling, tiny voice, that of a little girl. "Hello." The dispatcher answered gently. "This is 911, what's your emergency?" There was a pause, followed by a small sniffle. "Daddy said it was love," the girl whispered. "But he's not moving now." Those words made the dispatcher's heart drop. She immediately sat upright, signaling her partner to trace the call. The girl sounded no older than 6 or 7. Her voice was filled with confusion and fear, but not panic, the kind of confusion that breaks your heart because it means she doesn't understand what's really happening. "What's your name, sweetheart?" the dispatcher asked softly. "Lily," the girl replied. "Daddy fell asleep on the floor. I think he's cold." The dispatcher's fingers flew across the keyboard. The address was quickly traced to a small suburban neighborhood on the outskirts of town. Officers and an ambulance were dispatched immediately. "Lily, stay on the phone with me, okay? Can you tell me what happened before Daddy fell asleep?" There was another pause, then a small sob. "He told me he was sorry," she said. "He hugged me and said that no matter what happens, I should always know he loves me more than anything." The dispatcher could hear the faint crack in Lily's voice as she spoke. The words were innocent, but the meaning behind them was terrifyingly uncertain. Within minutes, the first responders arrived at the address. The door was unlocked. Inside was a small, dimly lit living room filled with children's drawings, toys scattered across the floor, and a faint smell of burnt coffee. And there, lying on the floor, was a man, Lily's father. The officers immediately began CPR while the paramedics rushed to set up their equipment. The little girl stood nearby clutching her teddy bear, tears streaking her cheeks but no real understanding in her eyes. One of the officers, Officer Daniels, crouched down beside her. "Hey, sweetheart. My name's Daniel. We're here to help your dad, okay?" Lily nodded. "He was sad," she said quietly. "But he said it was love. He said I'd understand one day." The words pierced Daniel's heart. He looked around and noticed photographs on the wall. Lily with her father at the park, at her birthday, holding ice cream cones and smiling. But there were no pictures of a mother. When the medics finally lifted the father onto a stretcher, Daniel gently guided Lily to the couch. "We're going to take him to the hospital, okay? You can come with us." Lily clutched her teddy bear tighter. "Can I bring Mr. Buttons?" "Of course you can," Daniel said softly. At the hospital, doctors worked frantically, but despite every effort, Lily's father didn't make it. He had suffered a heart attack. The doctors believed it had been triggered by extreme stress and exhaustion. When the nurse came out to tell Officer Daniels, he already knew what he was going to have to do: tell Lily the truth. She was sitting in a chair in the waiting room, legs swinging, humming softly to herself, hugging her teddy bear. When Daniel knelt beside her, she looked up with wide, hopeful eyes. "Is Daddy better now?" she asked. Daniel hesitated. His voice broke slightly as he said, "Sweetheart, your daddy's gone to heaven. He's not in pain anymore." For a long moment, she just stared at him, not understanding. Then, slowly, her little face crumpled. She buried her head into her teddy bear and began to cry softly. Daniel sat beside her, not saying a word, because sometimes silence is the only comfort there is. Over the next few days, the investigation unfolded. It turned out that Lily's father, Mark Evans, had been a single parent for nearly 4 years. His wife, Lily's mother, had passed away in a car accident when Lily was only 2. Since then, Mark had been struggling. He worked 2 jobs, as a mechanic during the day and a delivery driver at night, just to keep a roof over their heads. He never complained. Neighbors often saw him carrying Lily on his shoulders or playing with her in the yard after work, even when he looked completely exhausted. But behind his tired smile, Mark was fighting a battle of his own. He had been diagnosed with a heart condition a few months earlier but kept it to himself. He didn't want to worry anyone. His biggest fear was leaving his daughter alone in the world. And yet, despite his exhaustion, he had prepared everything for her future. When officers searched the house, they found a small envelope on the kitchen table. On it, written in neat handwriting, were the words, "For Lily, when she's old enough to understand." Inside was a letter. It began with, "My dearest Lily, if you're reading this, it means Daddy couldn't stay as long as he wanted to. I need you to know something important. Love isn't just about being there. Sometimes it's about giving everything you have, even when you have nothing left. I might not be beside you, but I'll always be watching you, every time the sun rises, every time the stars come out. You were my reason to keep going. You are, and always will be, my heart." By the time Officer Daniels finished reading, his eyes were wet. Everyone who heard that letter cried. Nurses, police, even the emergency dispatcher who had first taken Lily's call. The story reached the community quickly. News spread about the little girl who called 911 saying, "Daddy said it was love." The phrase became a symbol of pure, unconditional devotion, the kind of love that gives everything until the very end. Donations poured in. Neighbors came forward to help. A family from the same street, who had often watched Mark and Lily playing outside, offered to take her in temporarily until Child Services found a permanent solution. But there was something else, something even more beautiful. Before his passing, Mark had written in his will that if anything ever happened to him, he wanted Lily to live with his childhood best friend, Sarah. She lived in another state and hadn't spoken to him in years, but when she received the call from the police, she broke down in tears. She came immediately. When Sarah arrived, Lily was sitting on a hospital bed, drawing pictures with crayons someone had given her. She was quiet, her big brown eyes dull with sadness. Sarah knelt beside her. "Hi, sweetheart," she said softly. "Do you remember me?" Lily blinked. "You were in Daddy's pictures." "That's right." Sarah smiled through tears. "I was your daddy's best friend. He used to tell me all about you." Lily hesitated, then asked the question every adult dreaded. "Why did Daddy have to go?" Sarah took a deep breath and replied, "Because sometimes, the people we love the most finish their story before we want them to." "But your daddy's love didn't end, Lily. It just changed. Now it's everywhere. In the stars, in your heart, and in every smile you make." For the first time in days, Lily gave a small, faint smile. Months passed. Sarah officially adopted Lily, keeping her last name to honor her father. They moved into a cozy home by the ocean, a place Mark had always dreamed of taking his daughter someday. Every night, before bed, Lily would sit by her window, hold her teddy bear, and whisper, "Good night, Daddy. I love you." And sometimes, when the wind blew softly through the trees, it almost sounded like a whisper in return. A father's voice carried on the breeze, saying, "I love you too, my little girl." Years later, Lily grew into a strong, compassionate young woman. She often volunteered at local shelters and worked with organizations that supported single parents. Her story touched thousands of hearts when it was shared online. She once said in an interview, "When I was little, I didn't understand what love meant. I thought it just meant hugs and bedtime stories. But now I know, love means sacrifice. It means giving, even when it hurts. My dad showed me that. That's why I'll spend my life trying to pass that love forward." Her words resonated deeply across social media. People began using the hashtag Daddy said it was love to share stories of love, sacrifice, and kindness. The 911 call that once broke hearts ended up healing others. Years after her father's passing, Lily visited his grave for the first time as an adult. She brought a small bouquet of wildflowers, his favorite, and the same teddy bear she'd held that night. Kneeling down, she placed the flowers on the ground and whispered, "You kept your promise, Daddy. I understand now." Tears rolled down her cheeks, but there was peace in her heart. She finally understood the meaning behind his last words, not the words of tragedy, but of a love so pure it transcended time itself. As she stood and looked up at the sky, a single star shone brighter than the rest. And for a moment, it felt like he was smiling back at her. Love isn't measured by how long someone stays, it's measured by how deeply they give while they're here. Sometimes, the simplest words from a child can reveal the most powerful truths about what love really means. No goodbye is forever when love remains in the heart.